Broadcasting live and in living color from Regional Radio Sports
Regional
Network.
Radio Sports Network.
Regional Radio Sports Network.
Your ticket to the best seat in the house since 1992.
Welcome once again here on the Regional Radio Sports Network. We welcome you inside the Whitecamp Athletic Center, just outside the Gage Gymnasium, Paul Condry. It's the Tony Natali Show, folks. Thanks for being a part of our broadcast here today. We're going to be talking about a wide variety of things. Tony, excited about where we're at. Welcome to 2025. Glad to be getting this thing underway. And, of course, I'm excited even more in advance because the February version of this we're going to be doing over at the Elkhart Aquatic Center.
Yeah, it's a busy time in the Elkhart Aquatic Center right now. We are hosting the NEI National Championships for Swim and Dive, and Luke Schrock, myself, we've been over there a lot, and we're going to be living there the first week in March. So
yes, you are.
It'll be a fun time, an opportunity to really showcase not just this area, the South Bend, Mishawaka area, Elkhart area, but to showcase Bethel. And what a great job that we're looking forward to showing the country about NEI Swim.
You've got a brand new coach we're going to introduce here today. He's been on the program. We've got to know him when he was an assistant coach. Who you got with us today?
Got Jose here today, and Jose was done a great job with our men's volleyball team. So excited to have him here. Was an assistant for us, and more than capable to just run a great program. Does a great job with recruiting, has a great relationship with the guys. The culture on the team this year is phenomenal, and looking forward to watching them play. They'll be fun to watch this year.
Yeah, and that's coming up on the 31st of January. We'll open up. The pilots will be in action here at the Pilot Invitational, presented in part by Adidas One, and we're going to get to Jose momentarily. But a lot of things on your plate. First of all, I want to kind of give people some of the background stuff that's going on here. You're currently in negotiations with the NEIA about securing a opening around here for men's basketball. Obviously, with the success that the men's team has had as the recording of this program. Currently number 10 in the country, unbeaten through the first 8 games, which is a rarity in this league to begin with, to get to that point in time without a stumble. They're going to be finishing up the first half of that round-robin conference swing this weekend. So let's talk about some of the efforts and initiatives going into that.
Yeah, well, first of all, Coach Steve Draben's team has done a phenomenal job, and that's the first prerequisite is we have to have a team that's at the top of the conference. So the fact that we are currently leading the conference, like you said, getting ready to wrap up that first round, that's a big asset for us. And the fact that we can finish things up here coming up this weekend, like you said, 10th in the country, undefeated in the conference, those are all in our favor. So Luke and myself, Luke Schrock, our SID, and myself have sat down and talked about this. We hosted the last 3 years for the opening round for men's soccer, and the biggest reason we could do that is because Tiago has a phenomenal team, and we put a packet together. We've done a really good job of hosting that, so we kind of have a little bit of a reputation now of doing a decent job when we host these things. So we've put a bid in. Our facility has been certified, so we're good to go in that regard. That's been taken care of. And then Luke finished up the packet that needed to be done to send into the NEI National Office this week. I've spoken with them twice, and everything is in, so we're good to go. It's just a matter now of how we finish up here in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll find out if we get this bid or not. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just a success; it's a lot. So we've done all our due diligence. We're just waiting to see what happens.
And I certainly must point out to the fact that if you'd like to get involved, whether it be as a sponsor or as a corporate donor, to get involved not only with the men's and women's swimming over at the Elkhart Aquatic Center, but also involved in this. You're the person to go to, because this certainly doesn't happen by just, hey, we're going to go do this. You need some help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They're both great things for us to showcase, like I said, and to really say what Bethel's about. But there are costs involved, and hosting nationals, there's a lot of costs involved with that, and we're finding that out weekly. So we're working hard to cover those costs, make sure we do a great job in that area. We don't want to skimp in any area. So absolutely, if there's anybody that'd like to help, get in touch with me and we'll chat.
One of the unique things that you guys during the time of our last taping in December, the diligent team here went through and gave the offices and the hallway, the Hall of Fame wall, all a makeover, exciting opportunity, new wraps on the door. I think you and Chris Hess had a great vision for putting that together. And, of course, let's just talk about that and some of the things that you're excited. I mean, we would certainly encourage everybody who comes into the White Camp Athletic Center here through the Gates Gymnasium to where the coach's office, they need to walk through the hallway. There's some amazing and cool things back there.
Yeah, one thing we've really made a emphasis during my time as an athletic director is just to really increase the enhancement of this facility. It's a beautiful facility. We just want to make it the best we can. So the First Source Championship Plaza that we're in right now was a big part of that. Jose's been a big part of that in the Gates Gymnasium, just making sure that has been a great facelift itself. But what we really wanted to do in the coaches hallway over in Gates is to just take some of the carpeting that had been there for a little bit, take that up and put down some laminate flooring, and then just to make it look a little bit more brighter, a little bit more professional. So after the last women's basketball game before Christmas break, we had a team of about 14 student athletes and coaches and everybody you could think of that just ripped up all that carpet, and the next week they came out and laid all that down. It looks phenomenal. And then we had our wrap people that have done a lot of the wraps here in the facility come out, and they put wraps on all the coaches' doors all in the facility. Each coach gave their verse that they wanted to put from the Bible at the bottom of that wrap. So those look really well. We got some new furniture in there, and just really trying to, again, make it look as good as we possibly can for our student athletes. That's really the best part of that, is when our student athletes came back last Thursday to start classes. I had so many kids in my office just really raving about how nice everything looked.
Another thing that you've got on your plate, of what I think is one of the most important things that happens here on the campus of Bethel University in Mishawaka, is what you call SALT, S-A-L-T, Student Athlete Leadership Team. I'd like for you to dive into that before we talk to Jose here today, because this is something that's pivotal. And I know several of the athletes that are involved in this because I've had a chance to watch them perform, broadcast some of the games. I know that Abby Williams is one from women's basketball. Trent Edwards is part of it from the men's basketball. The legendary Maddie Payne is part of it on the women's volleyball. So talk about what the SALT program's out. It's my understanding, you're number 6 now?
Yep, sixth year. Yeah, it's a group of kids that our coaches at the beginning of the year will give me a name or two to put on this group, and we meet the last Monday of every month. Basically involves 2 or 3 different aspects of every meeting. First of all, we really want to cast vision and let our student athletes, they're the leaders of the teams. So if there's anything we need to talk about, any issues that we want to go through, we go through them, and then they go through their teams. Secondly, I listen to them and just hear anything that they want to give to me as far as improvements go. And I could give you a list of improvements that they have done in the past 6 years that we've actually been able to do on campus. Everything from new drinking fountains where they can just put the bottle under there and fill it up quicker for practice, to protein shakes and those kind of things in the cafeteria, med balls in the weight rooms. That all comes out of that SALT group. So that's the second part. And the third part, Coach Jamal Henry, who's the tennis coach, does a leadership forum with them in the second part of that meeting. So it really is beneficial for them in many ways. It's beneficial to me because I get to hear from the student athletes, and then they can take it back to their teams and their coaches like they do with Jose.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that you keep the line of communications open. If your kids are happy with the initiatives going on the campus, make their lives a little bit more exciting, they're going to be able to perform at a higher level. They're going to enjoy the experience. They're going to tell their friends, and then when a recruit comes on campus, invariably they're going to have those guys and gals inside those meetings and practices. They're going to say, look at all the things they do for us. They listen to what we have to say.
Exactly, and it's all about the student athlete experience. As much as I care about our coaches, which I do deeply, our student athletes are what it's all about. Right. We want to give them the best experience we possibly can, and this is just another way we can show that.
I know there's, before we jump into visiting with Jose about men's volleyball, which opens up on the 31st here at home, I know that your spring coaches are diligently planning their spring excursions, if you will, to the warmer part of our country. Give us an idea of some of the things that they have to just kind of go through to get those long trips, because sometimes they're gone for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Well, the baseball, softball, men's volleyball all take trips to other parts of the country that are a whole lot warmer than Mishawaka, Indiana, which I wish I could go with them on those trips. But it's an opportunity for our student athletes, again, to get great experiences. The teams get a chance to play a lot more, especially the outdoor teams, because you can't get out here and play. So it gives them an opportunity to play before the conference season starts. So the coaches do most of that planning. Jose does all the planning when it comes to the flights and the hotels, the Airbnbs, whatever they stay in. So they do that. The only thing I really get involved with is I meet with our academic people, our academic vice president, people in charge of faculty, just to let them know, our kids are going to miss some class, and then to try to make sure that that's worked out the best we can on both ends. The faculty understand that this is a school-sponsored event; they're just not taking off, and then also the kids need to understand, because they're going to be gone, they have some responsibility to make sure they get homework done, tests done, those kind of things.
All right, let's get some thoughts here now from he's in his first year as the head coach of the men's volleyball program. Jose Viera is going to spend some time with us, and one of the questions, Jose, that I always try to propose to coaches, that when they move over, I call it the 18-inch move. When you move over from one chair to another chair, that's about 18 inches is the side from side to side of the chair. When you move over 18 inches to that chair where you are the person and the buck stops with you, there's always some anxiety, there's always some fear, there's always some apprehensions about, hey, am I doing it the right job? And then and you're following in the footsteps of your mentor, and Eric Schneider, who coached you in college. So you want to make sure that you're doing all those things. So tell us about, as the season gets ready to get underway here, are you feeling anxious a little bit about that move over 18 inches?
Yeah. If I'm being honest, I'm anxious, but I know what I can do, and I have the knowledge that I gained from my mentor, Snyder. So there's nothing different than that.
Give us an idea from a motivational standpoint. What is going to be your number one priority to get your guys to play at a high level?
Play together. That's number one thing that will make us successful.
One of the things that Coach Natali already mentioned, and I had Coach Draven, on men's basketball coach, on my radio program. You've been on that program as well. We talk about culture a lot. Mm-hmm. If you have great culture, you have a great opportunity to be successful. Talk about continuing the culture that Eric had before, as well as establishing and putting your own signature on the culture. Is it a difficult concept for you to do this, or is it something that's naturally part of your leadership style?
It's already part of my leadership style. I think compared to the past 2 years, when the program started until now, culture's been totally different, but it's because the type of people that we have on our program, starting from our coaching staff to the players, and the people that's around us. So that's our fans.
Tony, I know from your perspective as the head coach of all athletics here, that's because make no mistake about it. It may say athletic director, but still you're a coach at heart, and you're still coaching coaches. Just like when the athletes come to visit with you, you're still coaching them. The dynamics of, maybe putting together that defensive game plan that
exactly.
that you used to do working for Coach Leifert. Talk about sitting down and talking with Jose and say, okay, Jose, here's what I want from you. So can you give us some behind the scenes and say, listen, this is what I expect, this is what I want to do, and talk about your relationship with him? Yeah,
well, first of all, I have a mental list of every sport, of every position that we have here in the department, and you just never know how things are going to progress, how things are going to develop, and you just never know what's going to happen. So I'm not a reactive leader. I'm a very proactive leader, probably to the point where I bug these guys a lot, but that's just my style of doing it. So I have that mental list of, in case anything changes at the top, where do I go? Because I don't want to just react to that. So when Eric made the decision that he did to move on, right away, there was no question. The next person I was going to was Jose. And it wasn't because Jose was here. I mean, it wasn't because it was the easy thing to do. I'm very diligent with this. Like I said, it's all about our student athletes and their experience. So I would never put them in a position to not have success if I didn't think Jose was the right person. So right away when that happened, I got with Jose and spoke with him and told him my expectations. And, I don't micromanage, so I want him to put his own personality and the gifts that God's given him into this program, but he knows what my expectations are as well as a department. So I felt very, very confident and very, very good, and I do feel good moving into the season that everything he just said is exactly right. The culture of the team this year, it's so obvious when you watch, just like with Coach Draben's team. His team is so close this year. The culture is great. I've had people tell me that. Men's volleyball has just had a couple scrimmages. We don't start for another week or two, but I have had people come in my office and say there's something different about the men's volleyball team this year. And they notice already that the culture is really good, the closeness is there, the teamwork is there. We'll see how that translates into wins and losses, but frankly, it doesn't matter because he's going to have more fun, the kids are going to have more fun, and it's just going to be a better season just because you have that culture. The winning takes care of itself. But I'm very confident he'll do a great job in all the areas we talked about. He's a great recruiter, which we have to be at this level to make sure we continue the program as we move forward. But now that we're still in the infancy stage of this program, people don't think about that, but we haven't had a program for very long. So Jose's going to take it to the next level, and the years to come are going to be phenomenal under his leadership.
Jose, I want you to take me into that meeting when Tony brings you to the side and says, hey, listen, I think you're ready for this job. Can you share some of the insights of having that first conversation after being offered the head coaching job and accepting and then being a part of that? What were you thinking and going through?
It was tough at the beginning. It was tough. I just couldn't believe it that Snyder left and I was here and I was offered the head coaching job. And me being 25, very young, dealing with 18 to 24-year-old kids or men, I thought they were going to try to step over me, but no. I have a great group, like I said, and they respect me. And that's all I asked from them. So it was quite a shock, but it turned out differently and in a positive way.
Well, we've seen a lot of 25-year-old coaches have some success. One of them that just jumps into my mind, Tony doesn't want to bring this up, but the legendary Robert Montgomery Knight started at Army when he was about 25 years old and really carved his niche into the legacy of great coaches. And so do you feel like you got something special in this young whippersnapper over here?
For sure. The age never really, in my mind, had anything to do with any of it.
Right.
It's all about the knowledge base, of course, has to be there. That's a given. But the fact that the relationship with the people that he's leading, that's the big step. That relationship has got to be there. The fact that those young men, as he says, I always say kids, but he says young men, he's right. Those young men respect him immediately, and those are the things that you have to have. And you can see it in practice. You can see it whenever he's around those people that they have that respect. So I feel very, very confident, very, very good about the direction we're heading with Jose.
It's okay to call them kids because you and I have kids and we have grandkids, so it's just part of the natural way we kind of think about things. All right, Jose, let's talk about your group. I know that I've got the roster here in front of me, and I know you're pretty excited about your group. Take a look at that roster that I'm handing you there, and tell me about some guys you're really, really encouraged about. One guy I've got to point out right from the get-go, I'm excited to be able to see, and that's been Ritz. But Ritz has been awesome. He's done some broadcasting for me during his spare time. I just love the fact that he played 4 sports in high school. He's got a competitive spirit. I know he's at the men's basketball game, and he's part of the YCAM Wackos over there. He's acting crazy and goofy, which is what you want your kids to be. They want that college experience to be those kind of things. So I know I'm not trying to put Ben up on a pedestal, but I want to start with him because he's the guy that I know the best. So talk about Ben and the rest of the guys.
Yeah. Well, Ben is one of my captains for the 3rd year in a row. Great person, great athlete. He is the guy that even if he's on the bench, he'll be there. He's ready to go. He's ready to support his teammates whenever we're down. And if we're up, he's supporting even more. So, yeah, he's one of the best guys on and off the court right now in our roster.
Who else have you chosen as captains?
Our other captain is Eric Malik, but unfortunately, for medical conditions, he's out for the year. But I chose Thomas Dunkley, transfer from Georgetown College, outside hitter. When he got here, he was very quiet, and throughout the fall semester, he started talking a little bit more and showing more passion for the game and supporting his teammates on the lows. Like, he's the kid that even if he makes a mistake, he's like, okay, my bad, let's go again, let's try. And same for his teammates. So that's the reason why I chose him as my second captain.
Well, and doing the games last year, I know guys that jumped off the page. I know McGuire Eigenreich had a sensational freshman year. He made a lot of freshman mistakes, as freshmen do.
Yep.
Boy, but he's going to be really, really special over the course of the next 3 years, isn't he?
Yes, he has matured a lot from last year. This year he came in during the fall semester. He worked very hard. We had serious conversations in my office. And he came here this spring, and it's a totally different athlete.
Okay, so take us from the front line, some of those top front line players. When we get a broadcast our first game here on the 31st of January, we're going to be here for some games. Give us an idea, your vision on if you were to start today, and today was the first match. Walk me through some of those early rotations. Who's going to play an impact right away?
Yeah. On the outside position, it would be Thomas Dunkley and Patrick Ling from Hong Kong. My setter will be McGuire Eigenreich, and my right side would be Christian Wonga from Germany. My two liberals, Sebastian Rodriguez from last year and Lucas Nascimento. He's a transfer from Central State. And my middle position would be Santana from Vegas, transfer from Georgetown, and JB Boren from Netherlands.
One of the things that may be unique to your roster versus any of the other rosters maybe with the exception of men's soccer, that maybe would be the other one, but I just want to, for our listening audience, to show people this. Brazil, Colombia, in addition to some Hong Kong, Serbia, Germany. We can go up from the Netherlands. We can go up and down the line, and that doesn't include all the other states that you're tracking in from.
Yep.
So you got kids from all over the place, from Idaho to right here in Indiana to where. Give us an idea as you look at the landscape of the roster. Some of your student athletes are still learning the English language. Mm-hmm. So talk about fighting through the language barrier that sometimes happens in this situation.
Yeah. Well, everyone's willing to learn something new, so that's why we also have a lot of internationals. We learn new languages, and that's how we create our culture. So when we're in game, my Colombian guys might not understand something in English. So hey, I speak Spanish, so let me talk to them in Spanish. And if my Germans doesn't understand anything, then we'll find a way to communicate. So whether it's hand signs or write on a board, we'll do anything to have a good communication and translate it into the court.
Well, one thing about it is, unlike some of the other programs that Bethel's involved with, they're part of one of the cornerstone and teams in the Crossroads League. You guys find yourself in a very unique situation because you are an affiliate member of the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. And I know until the Crossroads League gets enough teams to make it an official sport, that's where you're at. And it's a conference that has had a lot of success. So you find yourself in, 3 years into this project, if you will. You're trying to compete with some teams that have been around and have played maybe as many as 10 years. So give us an idea what it's like playing some of those established teams like Cornerstone, and we go up and down the line to some of the teams you have to compete against.
Yeah, well, starting with the WAC, my opinion is they're the second hardest conference in the nation, and we have the toughest teams like Indiana Tech, Lawrence Tech, Cornerstone, Lords. So those are the teams that have gone to nationals in the past. So playing those kind of teams, it's tough. They're gonna give us a hard time, but we just gotta stay calm and collected and keep everything on our side to be able to compete with them.
Tony, I think when as a leader and as a former coach, everybody wants to win. We're not doing this stuff just to feel good. Let's be very, very frank about this. You want to win, but you also want your student athletes to be able to grow physically, mentally, and here, probably more than any other institutions, is spiritually. But so talk about setting expectations in regards to wins and losses. I know that that's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but I know you're openly candid about we want to be successful on the court. But in a startup program, the dynamics are a lot different than when Steve Draven got here to be the men's basketball coach. You're that was a difficult road to hoe because you're following the Lightfoot name that just is synonymous with success here inside this gymnasium, and that's the toughest job in the world. I mentioned that to Steve on our radio show last night. So talk about managing expectations to make sure that winning and losing is part of what your DNA is, but not as something that is an afterthought compared to what the most important thing is, and that's developing student athletes that are grounded spiritually.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things I did 6 years ago when I took this position was I really wanted to make it clear to all of our coaches what my expectations were. I wanted to make it really, really simple and really, really clear. Here's really the things that are the most important. So ever since day one, all the way through now, whenever we meet, I talk about 4 things, and these are the 4 things they're constantly evaluated on. And then we talk about, the spiritual development on the program has to be there. It has to be good. It's different for everybody. I mean, I know how I did spiritual development when I was a coach compared to how Jose does it, how Steve Draben does it. It's all different, which is fine. It just has to be a big part of what we do, and they know that. The second thing is we have to have full roster sizes. So we don't want to have sports that, we're not having the full roster size, helping our institution out when it comes to numbers and those kinds of things. The third one is having a great culture. I mean, we have to have a great culture, and I'm such a big culture guy. I see it all the time. The coaches, the teams that have really had issues here where we have made changes initiated by me have been because of lack of culture. That has been the number one thing. And then the fourth one, which really, and this is no knock on anybody in any other AD, but I was never really talked about with the success piece. I always kind of joked that I think we could be mediocre for a long time and be okay. That's not my DNA, but we really that's not what we want. My vision, and these coaches know that. I don't like the word winning because you can have things come up and not win. That just happens. I've been through that. So I always tell them you have to have a competitive program. You have to be competitive. And I like the word competitive compared to the word winning because you can be extremely competitive and be in most of your contests and still maybe not win 50%. That can happen. So, especially with the starter program, third year, I have no question that Jose will be competitive again in that conference, even though it is one of the top conferences in the country. How many they win, we'll see how that goes. But the competitive part is what's important. You don't want to just get your brains bashed in every time you go out there. And the reason I say that, and the reason that is one of the 4 things, is because these kids that we recruit here, yes, they're coming here for many reasons. The spiritual value, the academics, everything is included. But they are coming here for their sport. And we owe it to them to give them a best possible experience in their sport, and that includes being successful. So we want to be as competitive as you possibly can.
Finally, Jose, give us an idea on some of your coaches who are going to get involved. You're only as good as your assistant coaches. Tony's been in that role as an assistant coach, as well as the head coach when he was the head coach of the track and field team, and that's one of the things. So talk about the people that you've brought on to help you relate to your athletes and help you be successful and competitive.
Yeah, we still have Dave. Dave John. He was the graduate assistant for the past 2 years. This year, he's my assistant coach, and I have Rebecca Candido. She's my graduate assistant coach. She played at the college level, coached at the college level. So she has good experience coaching. And then I have 2 managers from the women's volleyball team, Taylor Delp and Grayson Norris, helping with our stats. So the more input we can get in a game, the better it will be.
Well, those are 2 talented gals right there.
Yep.
Yeah, boy, when you have that kind of thing. All right, so you guys are opening up on Friday and Saturday, January 31st and February 1st. You guys got Cumberland out of Tennessee coming in, Judson, Cal College, and St. Joseph and Clark all coming in. So that's when you guys will open up the home season.
Yep.
Is going to be here. So that's going to be an exciting time. Those games are scheduled for Friday at 4 and 7 and on Saturday at 10 and 2, respectively. So best of luck.
Right.
Looking forward to hanging out with you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's going to be a blast. One final thought here, Tony, before we go any further. The FCA banquet is all carved in stone. You've got that I certainly would be remiss if we didn't talk about FCA. I know that's something that you've been actively involved with for how many years now?
26.
26 years, my goodness.
Yep.
Give us an idea on what's going on with some of your Fellowship of Christian Athletes initiatives. And I know your annual gathering here, I remember I spoke at this a few years ago. It was an absolute blessing to be able to share my testimony and talk about some things. But what's going on? Who do you have slated to be able to visit with us and share their testimony?
Well, so our date is Wednesday, May the 7th, is the date of our Fellowship of Christian Athletes banquet here in the Gates Gymnasium. And we've had this for several years. LaFonso Ellis was our first speaker way back. And like you said, you did. Coach Lightfoot was a speaker. We've had tremendous speakers. But the FCA has been so big up here in northern Indiana since I've moved back up here from Indianapolis. And it's just been a big part of my life because I just see the impact it has, especially in high school kids. You know, we work with college-age kids, and by the time they get here, a lot of their values are formed and those kind of things, and we got to still work with them. But that younger age is a very influential age. So this works with high school kids. Great things are happening in the community in northern Indiana. At our banquet this year, our speaker is going to be Ryan Bales, who's the athletic director at Northridge High School.
One of the best all time.
Played here at Bethel, was an All-American, national champion, and I had the pleasure to coach him his senior year. It was my first year here. But, he's going to be our speaker. Mason Bales, who is his son, will be coming here next year as a men's basketball player, will be the student speaker, part of that as well. So it'll be a family duo there, but it'll be a great event. That event is for businesses to come in and just hear about what we do. So it's more of an outreach in that area and an awareness. So any businesses out there that want to come, they can contact me. We'll make sure you get into the event.
Yeah, make sure that you reach out to Tony here at Bethel University. He'll be more than happy to help get you situated. A lot of great business people here. It's a wonderful opportunity to support not only the ministry of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, but also show some support because all the Bethel student athletes who are actively involved in many of the initiatives here on the campus, including the aforementioned SALT program that we talked about. That's going to do it for the Tony Natali Show for January. Once again, thanks to Jose for taking time to visit with us here today. A very, very special thanks to the legendary Luke Schrock for his great work alongside Tanner Camp, who works so diligently to make sure these programs are ready to go. A special thanks to our video editor, Andrew Kirksey, as well as Tanner Camp, and for all of us here at Bethel University in Mishawaka, Indiana. I'm Paul Country. God bless you all. Good afternoon, everyone.